What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Clover Trading channel. My name is Kyle Williams. Make sure you like and subscribe to the button. Let's jump right in. Today, I want to make this video because Bitcoin's up big. Bitcoin's up huge. If you're looking at the daily chart here, the last, call it week or so, we've gone from, actually before then, last week or so, we've gone from 27,000 per Bitcoin to as high as 35,000. Just a massive, massive move. And so I wanted to hop on here, talk about what on earth is going on, why is it up so much, and where can it potentially go in the future. So we're up 100% on the year. We know we started off 2023 just under $17,000 per Bitcoin. We have eclipsed over 34,000, just below 34,000 at the time of this video. So we are right at that 100% mark. Pretty impressive. One of the best performing assets on the year in a world where the S&P is up about 10 or 12%, and I think bonds are getting crushed. It's pretty impressive for people to look at something as speculative and as sketchy in most people's eyes as Bitcoin being up as much as it is. So what is this? What is going on? Well, a constant overlooming event has always been over this, which is the Bitcoin ETF. Everyone who's been in the space has been looking for a Bitcoin ETF to come into play. The SEC has been in constant battle with kind of putting it off, not letting it happen. And a lot of people, including myself, thought that it probably wouldn't come until January 2024 because that was the last deadline that the SEC could keep pushing it back, right? They can keep pushing it back in September. They kept pushing it back in October. Everyone thought they'd keep pushing it back in November, December. January was like the last cutoff point where they couldn't push it off anymore, and they would have to start either hardcore denying or approving these ETF applications. Now, who is actually applying for these ETF applications? Well, if you go here, all of the companies that are applying are Grayscale, 21 shares in ARK Invest, BlackRock, huge one right there. That's a multi-trillion-dollar company or business of assets. Bitwise, VanEck, WisdomTree, Investigo and Galaxy, Fidelity, also another multi-trillion company and investment firm, Valkyrie, GlobalX, Hashdex, and Franklin. So there is 12 total names here or active or applications that want a Bitcoin ETF. That's huge. We're talking multi-trillion dollars worth. Now, does that mean they're going to throw all multi-trillion dollars that they have into Bitcoin? Of course not. They have stocks, they have bonds, they have foreign stocks. They've got all different types of investments. So that maybe they throw in for their ETF a very small percentage of their funds for their ETFs. But nonetheless, a small percentage of trillions is still in the billions. And so it's very positive for the underlying price of Bitcoin. And now the ETF has not actually come out yet, but there's things that have lined up to the point where it is almost certain. BlackRock, I believe, has had 575 ETF applications and only have denied one of them. There's only one that's been denied. Otherwise, they have a 99.99% success rate, and they've applied for a ETF, Bitcoin ETF. So it's very likely that theirs goes through. In fact, if we look at this tweet from Eric here, iShares, which is Bitcoin, or iShares Bitcoin Trust, which is BlackRock's ETF. They are now on the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, which clears all of NASDAQ's trades. And the ticker will be IBTC, and it is listed on their website. IBTC here, it's got their, I guess it's called their clearing number or whatever it is, the name, and then the rest of all the information. So it is here, right? It has not officially gotten approved, but they have done everything in their power to get it as closest to the SEC's table as they possibly can to make sure it's correct. As well, BlackRock's already come out and said, the SEC, we've already started funding our fund for this, right? The moment you get approved, we've got everything in order, everything is in place. And so that has pretty much brought the cat out of the bag, right? Enough people are not really waiting any longer for the actual SEC to give it its approval. It's almost 99% certain it's coming, and hence you got this huge move. And in fact, this actual first move here from 27,000 to 30,000 was actually a fake report from, I believe, one of the crypto kind of news media sources that had said the ETF got approved, and it was actually fake news. It actually had not gotten approved, but ironically, it actually held up, and then more news had come out later in the days to kind of prove that it isn't here yet, but it's practically here. And on top of that, the fact that, it's already come out that BlackRock is literally buying Bitcoin already to fund their ETF. It's like that whole underlying driving of the price has already started happening even before the ETF is actually even here, which makes sense as to why this move has happened. We're breaking yearly highs, or the yearly high previously was set back in July here at like 32,000-ish, 31,800 to be more specific. And we just skyrocketed right through that huge breakout to a high of, again, 35,000. And we're now chilling just under 34,000. So what happens from here? What does an ETF actually mean for the overall space and in Bitcoin? Well, one is, depending on how many of these firms actually get approved, if all 12 of them get approved, all 12 of them being a SPY ETF have to physically buy Bitcoin directly to then fund the underlying underlying asset of their ETF, right? Which is obviously Bitcoin. So that's a lot of buying, right? If BlackRock just did this, like hypothetically, I know it's not all BlackRock buying, right? There's plenty of other people who are buying in the name of just catching that news. I don't want to guess any prices, but like this sets up Bitcoin for a very good spot to be in if you're bullish. Granted, does that mean there's not going to stop being pullbacks? Of course there are. In fact, I think the higher Bitcoin goes into the eventual acceptance or the application approval from the SEC, I imagine anyone who bought in the name of catching that news, it's going to be like maybe a possible sell the news event, right? They're going to kind of buy into that, pretty much certain the approval is going to come. It comes, and what do you know? Those people who are just trading it are going to sell, and it might pull back to, who knows, 30,000, 32. Who knows how high it goes before then? But I do envision some kind of pullback, some kind of volatility around once that news comes. But nonetheless, long term, it is bullish. And if we look at something like this, like what happens when the gold ETF came around? Because once upon a time, I know gold's seems like it's been around forever because it has been, but once upon a time, there was a moment where we wanted to have a gold ETF. And so here's a great picture of annual gold prices here. Back in early 2000s, right in this black line in 2004, right when the gold ETF became a thing, gold pretty much ran from, what does it look like, just under 400, right? The price of 400. And it went as high as from 2004 to looks like 2010. And now into the 2020s, we've gone from what, call it 400 all the way as high as 1800 and even as high as 1800 now, but it looks like around 1600 back then. So that was a 4X, went from 1400 to 1600. That's a huge move. Now, granted, I'm not here to say that Bitcoin's going to do the same thing, but nonetheless, it shows the volatility and the underlying maybe driving of the price up of what an ETF can do. And so in terms of, again, where Bitcoin goes long term, again, disclaimer, I personally own Bitcoin, so call me biased, call me bullish. In another scenario, Bitcoin could do nothing, right? All these companies could buy their Bitcoin, and there could be more sellers than buyers, and theoretically this could just chop around more, right? But for my sake, or for not my sake, for my financial sake, right? For my bias here, I would envision Bitcoin eventually makes new highs. And I really do think that. As to when, who knows, maybe in the next year or two. For those who know Bitcoin more beyond the scope of this video, history has told us in terms of 4-year cycles that it really does like to break out every 4 years or so. And I believe that 4-year mark is coming up at the end of 2024. So again, in terms of like scenarios, what to play out, I mean, I think at the minimum, it breaks highs. Maybe it only makes new highs similar to how it broke highs over what, 64,000 here, just by a little bit and failed. That would be like the worst case scenario for a bull case, like just barely make it to 80,000 and then just pull back again and have going back into a bear market. That would be kind of, I guess, the least fun case, right? In a more moderate case, I think, last time we went from 20K and we went as high as 70, like 69K, which is about a 2.5X, right? If we did 2.5X off the highs here, which I don't think is actually gonna happen, but if we did that, that takes us what, from 70K, let's just round up 70K to 140, and then another 2X would be 20 or 210,000, and then a half, that's what, 240, 250,000? Even though I'm bullish, I'm not that bullish. I don't think we do a 2.5X. I think the returns over every cycle has been less. So if we did 2.5X last time from the highs to new highs, let's just do a 1X. Let's just do 100% or a double. We would go from, call it 69K to like what, 140, 136, 138K, right? We just do one double from the highs. That seems a little bit more moderate, a little more doable, something that I could see actually happening going into the, call it low to mid 100K region. And then on extreme case, yeah, everyone wants to call it 1,500,000. Maybe it gets there in 10, 20, 30 years. Again, even though I'm a bull, I'm not that big of a bull. I just own it and I think it can go up long term, but as to exactly where, I'm just along for the ride. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. A little quick update just on what we're seeing in the crypto market. If you want more videos like this, feel like a like and a comment, subscribe. We usually cover small cap price stocks, but again, I am a big fan of Bitcoin. As you can see, my videos over here, I've had this up for quite a long time here. I am a fan. I do keep track of the crypto market pretty regularly, and this is what's going on. So very bullish, very awesome. Great to see if you do invest or hold Bitcoin. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching the video, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.